Okay, here we are. It is August 7th, 2018, and we're now on Genesis chapter 13. So I was thinking again about what's the best way to do this, and that is if I should just straight read the chapters, or if it should be like with the little Bible study afterwards. If you see this video, please let me know. Leave a comment what you think, which is more beneficial. Do you just rather, hate to use the word hurry up, but to get through the scriptures, to get through the Bible, or to take time and break them all down? Perhaps the breakdown could be done in a separate video in some other way. Or another choice is to just read straight through, and then if there's any questions or anything that's not clear, to maybe ask a question in the comment. And of course, all of this is going to depend on if I can read this and keep my mouth shut afterwards, because so far I've not been able to do that. So here we go. So what I'm going to actually try to do is just read. Probably could get through a couple of chapters. Yeah, 2 to 3 chapters if I just read straight through. So I'll try that. Chapter 13. And Abram went up out of Egypt, he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot with him, into the south. And Abram was very rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold. And he went on his journeys from the south, even to Bethel, unto the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Ai, unto the place of the altar, which he had made there at the first. And there Abram called on the name of the Lord. And Lot also, which went with Abram, had flocks and herds and tents. And the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together, for their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together. And there was a strife between the herdmen of Abram, between the herdmen of Abram's cattle and the herdmen of Lot's cattle. And the Canaanite and the Perizzite dwelt then in the land. And Abram said unto Lot, Let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and thee, and between my herdmen and thy herdmen, for we be brethren. Is not the whole land before thee? Separate thyself, I pray thee, from me. If thou wilt take the left hand, then I will go to the right. Or if thou depart to the right hand, then I will go to the left. And Lot lifted up his eyes, and beheld all the plain of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere, before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, as thou comest unto Zoar. Then Lot chose him all the plain of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves one from the other. Abram dwelt in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelt in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent toward Sodom. But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Lord exceedingly. And the Lord said unto Abram, after that Lot was separated from him, Lift up now thine eyes, and look from the place where thou art northward, and southward, and eastward, and westward. For all the land which thou seest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed forever. And I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall thy seed also be numbered. Arise, walk through the land in the length of it, and in the breadth of it, for I will give it unto thee. Then Abram removed his tent, and came and dwelt in the plain of Mamre, which is in Hebron, and built there an altar unto the Lord. Chapter 14. And it came to pass in the days of Amraphel, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elazar, Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of nations, that these made war with Bera, king of Sodom, and with Bersha, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Admah, and Shemiber, king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, which is Zoar. All these were joined together in the Vale of Siddim, which is the Salt Sea. 12 years they served Chedorlaomer, and in the 13th year they rebelled. And in the 14th year came Chedorlaomer and the kings that were with him, and smote the Rephaims in Ashtaroth, Canaim, and the Zuzims in Ham, and the Emims in Shaveh, Kiriathaim, whatever that is. Kiriathaim. Okay. And the Horites in their Mount Seir unto El Paran, which is by the wilderness. And they returned and came to En-Mishpat, which is Kadesh, and smote all the country of the Amalekites, and also the Amorites that dwelt in Hazezon Tamar. And there went out a king, this is verse 8, and there went out the king of Sodom, and the king of Gomorrah, and the king of Admah, and the king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, the same is Zoar, and they joined battle with them in the Vale of Siddim. So this is what happened. Let's see what kind of time we have. So in the days of King Amraphel, king of Shinar, there were 4 kings that got into a battle with 5 kings. So it would be like, how there was World War II, how you had the Allies and the Axis powers, the Ally and the Axis powers. So this is kind of how that was. 4 kingdoms joined up against 5 kingdoms. And inside the 5 kingdoms, the group that had the 5 kings joined together, Sodom and Gomorrah, were among this group. And in the side with the 4 kings, Chedorlaomer, it seems like he was like the most dominant one of these. And they demanded taxes of this group over here. So for 12 years, they collected taxes from this group. And then in the 13th year, this group rebelled against paying taxes and paying tribute to Chedorlaomer. That's what it means to say they served them. And then in the 14th year, so in the 12th year, they did it for 12 years. In the 13th year, they stopped doing it. And then a year later, in the 14th year, these kings got together and they decided to go enforce their dominance over these people and bring them back into being able to take resources and people and whatever from this, having these countries dominate these kingdoms. So in doing that, they got into a battle, and these 4 kings sacked these places, and they took all the people from Sodom. Now, we just found out that Lot separated himself from Abram, and he chose to go and dwell in that land because it was green and fertile looking, and Abram gave Lot first choice of which way to go. Lot chose that. So when these kings go over and conquer these people, and then they bring back slaves and servants, and Lot was among them. All the men of Sodom, all the people of Sodom were stolen away to go back and serve Chedorlaomer like they had done before. So let's keep reading. So now we are and this battle took place in the Vale of Siddim. Now we're on verse 9. With Chedorlaomer, the king of Elam, and with Tidal, king of nations, Amraphel, king of Shinar, and Arioch, king of Elazar, 4 kings with 5. Like I said, 4 kings against the 5 kings. And in these 5 kingdoms was Sodom, Gomorrah, Zoar, and the other 2 nations. Verse 10. And the Vale of Siddim was full of slime pits. The place where this battle was taking place was full of slime pits. And the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled and fell there. And they that remained fled to the mountain. And they took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah and all their victuals, and went their way. Victuals is like victuals, like all their food and supplies in the way of food. Verse 12. And they took Lot, Abram's brother's son, who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods, and departed. And there came one that had escaped, and told Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plain of Mamre the Amorite, brother of Eshcol, and brother of Aner. And these were confederate with Abram. So Abram had some allies, some buddies. So Mamre the Amorite and Eshcol, the brother of Adner, and they were confederate with Abram. Verse 14, and when Abram heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his trained servants, born in his own house, 318, and pursued them unto Dan. And he divided himself against them, he and his servants by night, and smote them, and pursued them unto Hobah, which is on the left hand of Damascus. And he brought back all the goods, and also brought again his brother Lot, and his goods, and the women also, and the people. And the king of Sodom went out to meet him after his return from the slaughter of Chedorlaomer, and of the kings that were with him at the valley of Shaveh, which is the king's dale. Verse 18, and Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High God. And he blessed him and said, Blessed be Abram of the Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth, and blessed be the Most High God, which hath delivered thine enemies into thy hand. And he gave him tithe of all. And the king of Sodom said unto Abram, Give me the persons, and take the goods to thyself. And Abram said to the king of Sodom, I have lifted up mine hand unto the Lord, the Most High God, the possessor of heaven and earth, that I will not take from a thread even to a shoe latchet, and that I will not take anything that is thine, lest thou shouldest say, I've made Abram rich. Save only that which the young men have eaten, and the portion of the men which went with me, Adner, Echol, and Mamre. Let them take their portion. That's all the time I have.